everybody. Wherever you're joining us from, good day, good evening, good morning. I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Blalock, Chief Energy Officer of Ingenuity Solutions. Welcome to another edition of Aspire to Inspire and Embrace the Power production. I am so excited for all of you around the world to meet my great friend and an incredibly inspiring person, Mr. Leonard Chatman Jr., CEO of Chatman Speaks, author, speaker, trainer, facilitator, and all-around inspiring individual. Mr. Chatman, how are you tonight?
Well, I'm doing better than I deserve. I've heard that one before, as you have as well. But before we get it started, I have to confess something.
Tell me. This is it. You're in a safe space. Confess it. Let it out.
I am not Mr. Chatman. I'm just Len, your friend. That's all.
Len, your friend. And you are indeed my friend. And I'm so delighted to have some time tonight to introduce you to even more wonderful people who are looking for that inspiration. Len, you do so much, and all of the work that you do is really centered around inspiring others, including your most recent bestseller, The Art of Appreciation. Tell us how inspiration, it has inspired and helped you navigate your journey as an author, CEO, trainer, facilitator, all the wonderful things that you do.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. Secondly, it's a journey, right? And I'll be honest with you. While I may not have every answer, under the book, one thing that I do know is everything that I have ever experienced, professionally or personally, is the reason why I wrote The Art of Appreciation. Because people, and really, to be honest with you, we're at a really critical time in this world where people need to feel valued. People need to feel appreciated. There has to be this seismic movement of gratitude. May, it just so happens that today is May 3rd, and May is what? Mental health, awareness month. And, I think part of our mental health is part of how people feel valued. When people don't feel valued, when people don't feel appreciated, when there's no gratitude, insight, guess what? People struggle with their mental health. And I'll be the first to tell you that I've struggled historically regarding my mental health because I didn't feel valued. And I made a choice every single day, make a choice rather every single day, that I will live a life of gratitude. Inevitably, that's helping that.
I absolutely love that. And I was pointing to this because this picture I have above my office here, make the most of everything. And you always say, have a great day on purpose. And you do live a very purpose-filled life. You do make the most of everything. That's one of the things that we share in common. And that doesn't mean, so many people think it means that your life is perfect. But what you talk about in your book, what you talk about in your trainings, and what makes you so compelling as someone who could be a great and wonderful keynote, and the work that you do in the community, is you keep it real. And you talk about it doesn't have to be perfect. But it does have to be pure. It does have to be honest and authentic. Tell us a little bit about why appreciation and gratitude is so important to help us shift into a better mental health space in our lives and in the workplace.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, the American Psychology Association states that 93% people that feel valued, they tend to be better professionals. They tend to have more or take more pride in their work. That's the data side of it, right? But the humanistic side, how I'm feeling is there's only, what's our other choice? What's our option? What are we going to do here, right? We're going to sit here and sulk, or we're going to get ourselves together right? Brush it off. You don't think that bad has happened in my world. You don't think that struggles or challenges or, I've had some good days, I've had some bad days. You don't think that those happen? Yes, they absolutely do happen, but ultimately it's a choice. What am I choosing each day? I'm choosing to live a purposeful life. Here's why. NOW. I don't know if the producer or we could put it in the chat. I want these 3 letters in the chat. NOW. It's so simplistic, right? And we know what that is. That means now. Well, guess what? What now means? That's the only guaranteed time that we have.
Absolutely right.
We do not have tomorrow guaranteed. We do not have, next month guaranteed. We have now. And so what I'm choosing right now is to live on purpose, to live for a purpose. And because of all of those 2 things, I have purpose.
I love it. Yeah, you spoke that so passionately and eloquently. When you have taken this work, and I know you train extensively, work with a lot of corporations, you're in leadership programs, you develop leadership programs, you're just constantly engaged. Where do we start, right? Like a lot of people, it's like, oh, well, I say thank you. I call my buddy and say, hey, have a great day. Where do we start so that it can really be meaningful and even better, not just purposeful, but transformational? What are some things that we can do in our lives to extol and communicate and demonstrate gratitude and appreciation to help transform us and others?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So I gave you 1 C, right? That was a choice, right? You make a choice. You make a choice every single day. What are you going to do? What are you going to focus on? Where you're headed? All of that good jazz, right? Here's a 2nd C, your community, your connection. You got to connect with the right people because connection is the new currency. Okay. And so and that sounds fancy, it sounds good. But inevitably what that means is that the relationships that you have, I know that person. I know, I like him. He's a cool guy. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Vic Micolucci. He's great. But connection is the new currency. I stress the importance of relationships, right? So connection is the new currency. Relationships, everything that we do, Dr. Blalock, is centered around relationships, right? So my office, beyond my home office, is actually a local Starbucks, right? And
I love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Give me a tall hot chocolate, extra hot, and that'll make me a really happy person. True story.
I love it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Relationships, right? And so the baristas that are inside that Starbucks, while I may see them every day, right, it's still a relationship. You go to an Olive Garden or you go to a Ruth Chris, right? And that person that is serving you, that is a relationship, right? And there's a connection because you never know how that connection can impact you. So you got to start with having the right people in your corner, right? Because you can be transformative in your mind and say, yeah, I got this. I'm gonna have a great day on purpose. And then now you got something in your ear, right? You got someone in your ear. I'll give a shout out to my dad, Dr. Leonard Chatman Jr. He said that you got to be careful of what enters your ear because it'll enter your heart, right? And I thought that was so profound.
See that, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you allow to enter your ears because it'll enter your heart. That's part of the connection. So that's where you start. To answer your question, you gotta start with having the right people in your corner. And I am so grateful. No pun intended. Actually, it is intended. I'm so grateful to have a human being and a powerful woman like you in my world. I mean, I've told you privately, but I'll share publicly for the world. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all ages, from all spectrums of life, we have someone who is incredible and one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, Dr. Jenny Blalock.
Oh, thank you so much, Len. But I think, your point is so well taken because you and I are networkers, we're connectors, right? But you have to be intentional and purposeful about those connections and be that light. And here's an example of you just sharing that love, exuding that, and you fill the cup of so many others. How does your cup stay full?
People like you. You have to be intentional, right?
Sure.
And you got to do the things that make you the happiest. Let's see how well you know me. What is one thing that makes me happy? And it's something
riding your motorcycle. I was gonna say, I just have an image of Len taking off on his motorcycle. Look, you look happy already.
I am happy, right? Because that's what brings me great satisfaction is my motorcycle, right? So you got to do what makes you happy. Again, I'm gonna give a shout out to my dad. I asked him recently, what drives you? What motivates you? How you step away from being on all the time. He likes to color. Right. So he bought some pencils, some coloring pencils, and he colors. Right. But whatever, is the seasoning, to your steak, whatever is the sizzle to your steak, whatever floats your boat, whatever fancy term you want to use, do what makes you happy. Right. Be intentional, be thoughtful. Right. And it's OK to say no, or it's OK to commit to something. Right. For the sake of you. It's not selfish, right? It's actually selflessly, because if you take the time to fill yourself, you'll be able to fill others.
I agree. And I think that's so powerful because it is actually better, I think, to say no than to do something where you might build resentment or, I think people appreciate it more when you're able to be there fully and be present, right? That became sort of a cool term like, oh, I've got to be fully present. But you know what? There's value to that because I'd rather spend 10 meaningful moments where I have your full attention than an hour where you're distracted and you're not able to be with me. So I want to know in the workspace and the workplace, what are some things that you've seen are effective for companies, for leaders? Let's focus on leaders, right? People that really want to dig in and invest in their people. What have you seen them do to build those kinds of relationships with their employees and motivate them to achieve their absolute best?
I think as leaders, you got to be willing to be different. You got to be different. We're in 2023, so status quo, it doesn't exist any longer. It's gone, right? We just came out of a pandemic, so we can't do what we've done in the past, right? And that's the definition of insanity: is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results anyway. So you got to be different. You got to be willing to not get out the box. We've heard get out the box, but again, we're in 2023. So back in pre-pandemic, for lack of better terms, is hey, you got to step outside the box. No, you got to get beyond the box, right? So as leaders, you got to get beyond the box, right? You got to be intentional. We know what that word means, but you got to be thoughtful. And as leaders, one of the things that I've seen as leaders is I've seen leaders think that leadership is about them. And it's not about you.
No.
It's not about the clout of a title. It's not about, I or anything of those sentiments. It's truly about other people. And leadership is actually about relationship.
Agreed.
That's what it really boils down to. And if you as a leader, do not specialize in relationships, you'll never be a good leader.
Len, that's so true. I was just reflecting on a college president that I knew, and he would count the number of times that the members of his team used the word I, my, mine, etc., versus we, our, us. And that's so true because when you make it about yourself, it's not genuine appreciation, right? It's not authentic because it's reflecting me. I'm not fully appreciating you. And you've really emphasized the importance of those relationships. How do you really get to know and unpack the people that you're working with, the companies, and you are you're the CEO of relationships. So what does that look like for you in building those kinds of authentic and meaningful relationships?
Yeah, great question. It's stages to relationships. Sure. Right. There's stages to it. First of all, we talked about getting beyond the box, right? But getting beyond the box is actually stepping outside your comfort zone. Okay.
Sure.
So there's stages to it. The first stage to relationship building is you got to establish them. Get outside your comfort zone. Be willing enough to approach somebody. Be willing enough to shake their hand. In my case, I'm a hugger. I'm going to hug you, whether you're a male or female or a young child. That may be the only hug that they've received in the past 30 days. And they're going to get a hug from Lynn, their friend. Even if it's our first time, meeting, even if, they may have the appearance of being homeless, you will get a hug from me. Okay. And so that's part of the relationship. So you got to establish them first. Mm-hmm. And then after you establish them, you got to build them. This is a really critical part of relationship building. I mean, is establishing, but building. And I know I said build twice because I did it intentionally. You got to build them, right? Yeah. Build them. Building relationships requires time. It requires investment.
Absolutely.
It requires listening. Building requires listening. You build a house, you will not build a house in 3 days. Okay. It took even God 7 days to build this a beautiful world. What makes you think that you're going to build a relationship in 7 minutes? So you got to take time to build relationships. In order for you to invest in something, it's going to require time, right? So you establish the relationship by stepping outside your comfort zone and doing something different and being different. You build them by making an investment. Okay. And the only way that you can make investments is listening to people. Ask questions. What do you do? How can I serve you? Right. Gotta be inquisitive and be authentic. Be sincere about it. Okay. And then thirdly is you got to sustain them. Okay. And guess what? Building and sustaining, they both require an investment. Okay. And so one of the things I try to do is, one of my favorite books, here it is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie.
Favorite books. Dale Carnegie was a relationship architect, such as I claim to be. Okay. Right. And one of the things that Dale Carnegie says is you got to remember at least one thing about someone when you meet them. Right. Well, I don't have a good memory. It's a choice that you don't have a good memory. We are in a digital space. So you could put that, their birthday on your calendar. Yes. You could put their dog's name on the calendar. I mean, whatever it is that you need to do in order to ensure that you make a proper investment in another person, then you do it. Right. But you got to sustain them, and sustain them requires intentionality as well.
I love that, Len. So inspiring. And I also appreciate the importance of reading, developing, attending seminars. Tell us what the benefit for an individual or a company that wants to, purchase your book, contract with you for some trainings. What can they expect to see as a result of applying the art of appreciation?
Well, a couple of things. You'll get an experience like you've never experienced before. Right? You'll get an experience like you never received before. Secondarily to that, this is fresh. Haven't made we're getting it fresh, right? On this show right here. Hasn't been, because it's not, in today's day and age, it's not official till you post it on social media, right? But this is official. I have collaborated with the University of North Florida with their Tailored Leadership Institute in terms of research and the examination of the effectiveness of this program, right? So we're going to look at we're going to get a baseline of where the company is. Or where the company is. I was trying to use good language, right? But we're gonna. I know I'm from Jacksonville, so I tend to be country. Okay, so forgive me. Go Jags, by the way. But we're going to get a baseline for where the company is. We're going to facilitate the workshop, and in reasonable fashion, however customizable fashion that the company wants, whether it's a full day, half day, boot camp, whatever you want, right? We're going to tailor it to you. And then we're going to do a 30-day follow-up to make sure that these core principles, they are activating them into their model. right? Or into their daily lives, rather. And so you'll get an experience like none other, but you'll also get some data points to make sure that this stuff is working, because ultimately, you know, there's something big at stake. You know what's at stake right now in terms of companies?
No.
Culture.
100%.
Culture is at stake. And when you lose an organizational culture, you lose your employees. And when you lose your employees, what do you lose? You got nothing.
Everything. What you got? Yeah.
Right. So, really grateful for this collaboration with the University of North Florida and the Taylor Leadership Institute, directed by Dr. Matt Olson.
Well, again, just another incredible example of you building and leveraging partnerships, community collaborations. UNF Taylor School of Leadership is incredible. I know they have so many wonderful programs, including student athletes, and building and investing in them. Len, we are almost out of time. And so I want to ask you, what is a huge or transformational takeaway from the Art of Appreciation that you want everybody who's watching all around the world to hear, to apply, to leave from our conversation tonight, and at 1 a.m. today be like, oh my God, he was so right. I got to do that.
It's a good question. You know, I think that sometimes we look for something deep and profound and, you know, of great perspective, right? But I'll give you what I sign each of my books with.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'll also show it to you as well. Okay. It's the form of this. You know what this is?
It's a key.
It is a key. That's what gratitude is. Gratitude is the key to unlocking the best days of your life. Gratitude is the key to experiencing immeasurable joy and happiness. Not just a simple thank you, but being grateful for anything, being grateful for the people that's in your life. This unlocks everything. So when you look, I hope you never look at any of your keys ever again the same way. Okay.
I love it.
It is a key. The key to happiness is gratitude. So here's the key.
I love it. You just gave us a huge nugget. That's incredible. Thank you so much for that. I just want to say, Leonard Chatman Jr., my friend Len, the CEO of Chatman Speaks, an incredible author, speaker, facilitator. You inspire me every day. I know there are countless people in Jacksonville and beyond, all over Florida, all over the nation, South Carolina. I know your footprint is huge and it continues to grow. To all of our viewers out there, please connect with Len. Find him on social media. We've, posted some of those sites here. He's an incredible human being. I'm proud to call him my friend. Thank you so much for being so inspiring. Everybody out there, you go out, have your key, unlock this incredible life that Mr. Chatman is talking to you about, and find that inspiration everywhere you go. It's there. It's inside of you. It's around you. I am your host for Aspire to Inspire and Embrace the Power Production, Dr. Jennifer Blalock, Chief Energy Officer of IngenuitySolutions.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again soon.
On purpose.
Yes, yes.